Folks, this is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm your host. I wanted to talk to you today about a book I just finished. It's a real short book, actually, but it's packed with some good ideas. It is by Dr. Boyce Watkins. He is a fellow Kentuckian. It's one of the reasons why I read his book, and I also keep up with him through. I keep up with him at his YouTube channel, so I'm a subscriber to his YouTube channel. And the first thing I want to say about Dr. Boyce Watkins is check this book out, A Basic Guide to Building Your Family Economic Empire by Dr. Boyce Watkins, the $5 a day stock market investing plan. And again, like I said, it's short, to the point, concise, full of a lot of good ideas. And I recommend this to anybody. I particularly recommend this to Black Americans because, we keep hearing time and time again this whole thing about the racial wealth gap, and the racial wealth gap exists because evil, bad white folk, white folk keeping us back. And I'm saying that's a bunch of bull. That's typical left-wing propaganda. Now, Dr. Boyce Watkins is not necessarily saying that. So you need to find out for yourself what he is saying in his book, A Basic Guide to Building Your Family Economic Empire. And you can get it. I got this at Amazon.com. Go to Amazon.com and get that. Now, let me also say a few other things about Dr. Boyce Watkins. Dr. Boyce Watkins, he is not a coon for the Democratic Party. He's not a coon for the Republican Party. He is a traditional black nationalist thinker. Those kind of thinkers, intellectuals, have been within the black community. Going back to the 18th century, and really probably even before then, but definitely going back to the 18th century. We got a lot of black folk out there, so-called intellectuals, thinkers, who are basically cooning for the Democratic Party. If the Democratic Party gets a cold, they get pneumonia. Their ideals don't go outside of the Democratic Party at all. If Massa says, that boys can be girls and girls can be boys and men can get pregnant, then black intellectuals, so-called black intellectuals, public intellectuals, either stay silent on the question because they don't want to get Massa upset, they don't want Massa calling them transphobic, or they will just fall in line with it. And you know what? Really, that's fine. That really is fine. I don't have a problem with that. And I don't have a problem with it because fortunately we have some other black intellectuals and thinkers out there who would say, no, that's not the way to go. No, I disagree with that. I disagree with all this whole trans ideology nonsense. I disagree with these people who keep saying that the way out for black folk or the way up for black folk is government this, government that, and government this and that. The problem I have is that there is a very conscious and deliberate effort on the part of so-called black intellectuals, some of them, and I'll name them if you want me to. I have no problem in naming them, and how they collaborate with these silly white woke progressive leftist types in suppressing black conservative thought. Now, I would not put Dr. Boyce Watkins in the category of a black conservative. I wouldn't. But I will tell you this. Watkins is not going to coon for the Democratic Party. Watkins is not going to coon for the Republican Party. Watkins is, again, as I said earlier, a traditional black intellectual. He's about black folk. What's going to uplift black folk? What's going to move black folk forward? That's what he's all about. He is not a racist by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of times white folks, white conservatives, for example, might hear that and they say, oh, he's racist. No. If you view Dr. Boyce Watkins and other black nationalist thinkers like him as racist, you're not listening to them. You're not reading them. So I would say to my brothers and sisters, my white brothers and sisters, and my Asian brothers and sisters in the conservative movement, read Dr. Boyce Watkins. Read people like Walter Williams, Thomas Sowell, Booker T. Washington. Read them. Understand them. Okay? But you're going to find Boyce Watkins, he's not traditional, but he is a traditional black nationalist thinker. He's like a Marcus Garvey, okay? And I would almost put him in the same category as Elijah Muhammad, Master Fard Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, those kind of guys, all right? But check him out. I don't agree with a lot of Boyce Watkins' political stuff. I'm a straight-line conservative, period, end of discussion. Boyce Watkins would not categorize himself that way, and he's right. He doesn't fall within that black political thinking tradition. That doesn't mean he's bad or good. It's just, it's just a fact. And I would also, now Boyce Watkins, Dr. Watkins, he also says he's not a capitalist. Well, that's where I disagree, too. I am a capitalist. I'm unapologetically a capitalist, period. I'm not going to apologize about that. I'm not going to step down from that. I'm a capitalist. Thank you, Lord. God bless capitalism. I'm a free market capitalist, free enterprise capitalist. Absolutely. Dr. Watkins says he's not. Dr. Watkins says he would not say that. He does not think that's the best path for the black community in the United States of America to take. I would disagree with him on that. Emphatically disagree with him on that. So you may be wondering, well, where do you disagree? Where do you agree with this guy? Number one, I agree with him because I know the history of my people enough to where I know he's an important part of black intellectual thought in the United States of America. Don't confuse him with these other folk out there, like who's it, Sharpton and Sadiqa Williams, Sadiqa Reynolds, or what's that nut job down there at U of L, Dr. Ricky Jones, and there's some of these other nuts on CNN. No, don't confuse them with that. They're doing, those people I just named, they're doing their thing, and that's fine. But Dr. Boyce Watkins, he's part of the black public, black intellectual tradition, but he's different. He's like a different wing, I guess you might say. And you need to study him. You need to read him because he's worth it. And his roots, his intellectual roots, go way back. They go back to the 18th century. And black folk in America need to hear him. And white conservatives and white patriots, they need to listen to him. Definitely need to listen to him. So, where do I agree with him? Again, I would say A Basic Guide to Building Your Family Economic Empire by Dr. Boyce Watkins. That's where he and I are like, hand in glove. And I'm listening to that brother. I'm waiting for him to put other stuff like this out. Now I'm going to be checking out his other books. And I'm going to keep on checking them out on YouTube. Because I'm telling you folks, if you're serious about seeing the uplift of the black community in the United States of America, he's one guy who has to be on your list. He has to be on your radar time and time again. And I'm saying also, if you're someone who really wants to see America get better, if you want to see America do better and get better, I don't care if you're a white liberal or white conservative, you better be listening to Dr. Boyce Watkins. Again, this book is A Basic Guide to Building Your Family Economic Empire by Dr. Boyce Watkins. Really, the reality is when he says your family, he really means black families. And he ain't shy about that. He's not shy about that. He's not going to step down from that. But it's good for America. A book like this is good for America. A thinker like him is good for America. And, we need to be listening to him and reading him and following him. I'm not saying slavishly agree with everything he says. No, far from it. As a matter of fact, I suspect that Dr. Boyce Watkins would not want you to slavishly agree with everything he says. I think he'd be very disappointed if you took that attitude towards him. But I do think, again, let me emphasize this again, check this brother out. This is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm your host. Go to my website, booktalkwithcorbin.com, and check out some interviews I've done with some New York Times best-selling authors like David Horowitz.